The Steelers are on track they're trying to go 16-0, but if this game doesn't happen and they go 15-0 and another team goes 15-1 and suddenly we're not playing the same amount of games, what do you think about that? And what do you think about a team that could be on the doorstep of history at 16-0 but might not get the chance to get there?
Well, if hypothetically, if that scenario were to occur and they become 15-0, people can't remember what they did yesterday. You think people are going to remember the fact that Pittsburgh didn't play the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that is last in their division? They're 2-5. I love seeing the Bengals play. I love Joe Burrow. I think what they have is something special there for the future. But if they were to miss one game, or even two games, considering their next opponents are the Bengals and then the Jaguars. Now, we're talking about the Ravens. Now, that game, week 12, the Ravens, if it was that game, a game that it was a fight for them to get through in the first place, their first matchup, then I think that will become a big issue. We will be talking about it. But with the Bengals, come on, man. If they were to miss that game, we wouldn't be talking about it if they were still 15-0.
Real quick, Bart, to Jay's point, the one thing about the Ravens, you mentioned that as a hypothetical because they're just a higher brow opponent than the Cincinnati Bengals. But remember, that game is scheduled to be played on Thanksgiving, and the league is going to make sure they have a prime time Thanksgiving game. A little over a decade now, they've been playing a third game on Thanksgiving in prime time in front of the country.
That's thanks to my Detroit Lions.
Yes.
The games always stink.
Right, Detroit and Dallas.
Let's get somebody something after a night game. And
but to your point, Bart, real quick, I just wanted to mention that game is scheduled to be the night game, right? So somebody would have to be moved to a short week. If that game is on a Thursday, and for whatever reason, to Jay's point, that one can't be played, they would have to slide a game in there, and that would be unfair to a team to make them play on 4 days rest when they're not expecting to play on 4 days rest.
I think if that was to happen, you would just cancel the game. You would have two primetime games. You would owe the network a game. But, listen to Mike Tomlin. It tells you why leadership matters, right? Because no matter what he says, I just have conviction that it's going to be okay, that there's no situation that's too big or too small for him. I feel like he's a guy that's really about the details. And listen, Big Ben has been hurt often, and most great players don't practice during the week, especially when you get later into November, December anyway. They kind of let the backup handle it. Nobody wants to see Mason Rudolph play, but I think that the Bengals, every time I think about it, I remember him like when they took the face mask off, man, like take my helmet off, man. Don't take my face mask off. He looking like Evel Knievel little cousin and stuff, man. That's a meme that'll never die. But, they're playing the Bengals, and, when you look at them, nobody cares. I don't care. Like in Title Town, it's about championships. So whether you go 15-0, 16-0, to me, this is a heavily flawed team as well. That's what makes this season so great. Every team that you say, whether it's 16-0, whether it's Kansas City, they all have warts. And it's all about who's going to be able to play. And the thing the curveball that you can't account for is COVID. Because what happens if somebody gets COVID during the playoffs? And you lose a player that can't play, what happens to the protocol? We saw Justin Turner. What happens to the protocol if somebody tests? Will it be one of these mystery Nick Saban test outs? Because, you want to you talk about a competitive advantage. Are we going to be able to move some of these? The reason why the NFL decided to start their season on time is so that they can have the flexibility to add weeks into the season, because the NFL is a sport that it doesn't matter about the weather. If they got to go into March, they can go into March. So that's the beauty about what's going on. I think they can make up any game if they really want to.
If they were to miss this game, if it were to be canceled, think about how that would be such a benefit to the Pittsburgh Steelers that actually got their bye week taken away due to that game with the Titans.
Indeed.
Right? So this might be the rest. If it did happen, this might be the rest that Big Ben, a guy who is injury prone, might need in order to help them get through to a longer season.
It's not just this game, Jeremy. What is the league planning to do if you have to get into a situation where makeup games are needed?
Well, the league did anticipate, some increase in testing results that they've had, recently. And so they're going to just try to power through this. They have week 18 open. 4 weeks like this, like say if the Steelers do have a mini outbreak in the next few days. Now, the Steelers don't anticipate that. They've isolated the people they needed to. They've been pretty aggressive. They'll probably go virtual all week as far as meetings and whatever they need to do to prepare. And so I think at this point it has to be a catastrophic situation for the NFL to drop a game because they're trying to power through here. They're telling teams to be ultra aggressive in their tactics to try to push through here and isolate players. And, if it gets to that point, then they can expand the playoffs. They voted to do that from 14 to 16 if there are teams that can only play, say, 15 games. But right now they feel like they're still in a good spot to push through here.
Hey, Jeremy, I thought the reason why Alan Sills and the COVID team kept everything on schedule is because they wanted to be able to have the flexibility to extend the season. Now, it's been a little unknown. It's been a little secret that the NFL has always wanted to have the Super Bowl on President's Day because they wanted to make it like a holiday. The fact that, people can watch the Super Bowl and have Monday off. So I think the NFL has everybody right where they want it. They can expand the game. But, because football is an all-weather sport, they can push the Super Bowl, into March or late February if needed be.
Yeah, for sure. They have that kind of platform to do that right now. There's time on their hands. But, from the beginning, from what I had heard, they were pretty intent on keeping sort of the flow of a natural NFL year together, at least for this year if they can. I think long term, the President's Day option would be on the table. But right now, I think that the playoffs, from what I hear, they don't want to push it back further than a week if they don't have to, because you could do that Week 18. They have 1 week to really bang out all the games that you might have lost and then go from there.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.